At 2:17 a.m., a covert screen recording flickers on. Lily, face ghost blue in the glow of Emily's stolen cloud, whispers, "This is what viral feels like," while dragging her sister's darkest secrets into a folder labeled Monetize. In the breathless hush that follows, you can feel the moral ground crack. One swipe away from an earthquake neither sister can outrun. Days later, the internet will crown Lily a fearless truth-teller, until a single, damning frame tightens into a noose. What happens next will shock even those who think they've seen everything. So let's rewind to the beginning. Emily Harper's Friday began with a tiny vibration that cleaved the morning's hush, slicing through the smell of burnt toast and half-awake ambition. In the rectangle of light on her phone blossomed Lily's latest upload, the thumbnail weaponized for clicks. Her sister's face glistening with tears that looked suspiciously perfect. Mascara run like abstract art, mouth parted in confessionary ecstasy. Above it, the neon title, "My Sister's Dark Obsession, Why I Had to Expose Her," throbbed like a bruise. Emily's pulse lurched. She tapped once, certain she'd misread, but the video leapt to life with ruthless speed, auto-playing at full volume, flooding the kitchen with Lily's breathy contrition. The first cut was a grainy voice memo, time-stamped 3 years ago, recorded in the hush of Emily's bedroom when she still trusted Lily with her unfiltered midnight thoughts. Emily heard her own younger self stammering about body image, each pause swollen with teenage shame. She remembered the rain that night, the comfort of Lily's reassuring hum, now repurposed as salacious exposition. Next, the screen snapped to shaky phone footage. Emily on a bathroom floor, shoulders convulsing, inhaler discarded beside her like an empty shell. She'd never known Lily was filming. The realization thrummed through her chest, an infection of betrayal spreading outward in hot waves. But it was the blurred medical bill that detonated everything. Even anonymized, the line item, spontaneous abortion, emergency care, was unmistakable to anyone who had seen such paperwork or searched the code. Emily's fingers went rigid around her coffee mug. No one, not even their parents, knew about the miscarriage. She had poured that grief into Lily's lap in a moment of raw, desperate trust, and Lily had labeled it content. Notifications began replicating like spores, pings from high school acquaintances, Slack messages stamped PR newsletters titled Brands Love Authenticity, Lily Harper's Rise. Trending hashtags cascaded. Harper Secrets, #Sister Saga, #Real Pain, Real Views. Emily's Instagram DMs gummed up with fire and pitchfork emojis, threats disguised as moral outrage, offers from tabloids waving 5-figure checks if she'd share her side. Her phone felt radioactive. She tossed it on the countertop, watched it skitter like a trapped insect. Her skin tingled. Shock, then an inexplicable burr of guilt. Am I the selfish one for bleeding all over Lily's spotlight? The thought arrived unbidden, absurd, yet sticky. She stared at the coffee cooling into sludge, at crumbs from yesterday still clinging to the table, at the small domestic proof that life had been normal only minutes earlier. The world was shouting monster, and a part of her believed it because Lily had always known the secret map of her insecurities. If Lily now called her obsessional and unstable, maybe that was the truth, and maybe the internet's roar was justice. Hands trembling, Emily opened the message thread that had once been a ribbon of silly gifs and shared memories. She typed a single word, "Why?" and pressed send. 3 blinking dots teased a moment of hope for an explanation that would untangle everything. Instead, a lone blue heart drifted onto the screen, clinical and cold, like a surgeon's drop cloth falling over a wound. Emily stared until her vision blurred, the silence between beats louder than any scream Lily could monetize. The conference room smelled of lemon disinfectant and stale ambition, the scent of a place where careers were built and quietly buried. Emily sat opposite her HR representative, Marcia Lyons, whose peach-colored blouse clashed audibly with the gray walls. Marcia's manicured fingers slid the NDA across polished laminate as though it were a condolence card. "Clients are concerned about reputational splash damage," she murmured, voice soft enough to feign sympathy, yet firm enough to feel like a verdict. Emily signed with a pen weighted like a gavel, the clause about indefinite leave pending reputational review blurring into a gray smear. Her badge would still open the elevator, but the desk beyond was suddenly a museum piece labeled Former Employee Presence. Outside, Manhattan's late winter air slapped her cheeks raw. She glanced up at the apartment tower where paparazzi crouched like pigeons on the awning. Rent control laws couldn't stop the landlord's subtle threat. Privacy had a premium. Her inbox chimed with invoices, therapeutic co-pays, lawyer retainers, a reminder that trauma had its own billing cycle. Donation casseroles appeared in foil trays, but the smell of sympathy grated. Strangers' vitriol tasted cleaner. At least hate mail needed no polite thank you text. Compassion arrived as a digital flicker. Ethan Carver's DM appeared beneath a stack of death threat emojis. "Everything on the internet keeps a fingerprint. Want help?" She remembered him fresh out of grad school. Quiet kid, sharp coax cables for veins, once grateful when she'd fought to get him overtime pay. Emily typed, "Yes, ASAP." The reply came within seconds. "Bring coffee. Black." They convened that night in Ethan's cramped studio, a cave of humming towers and glacier blue monitors. Screens glowed like surgical lamps, illuminating crime scene stills of Lily's viral confession. Ethan's posture transformed behind the keyboard, hesitant apprentice no longer, but a laconic surgeon tracing incisions in digital flesh. He isolated audio spectrograms, each a cityscape of peaks. Lily's splices formed unnatural seams, skyscrapers dropped into farmland. "Here," he said, magnifying a waveform. "Two cuts inside a single syllable. Amateur." Emily watched frame counters crawl, 29.97, 29.98, until a micro-skip revealed the stitch. She felt the first ember of anger, small, self-doubting. Then he opened a folder labeled Cloud Scrape. Metadata unfurled, file paths pointing to her private iCloud archive, access tokens generated at 2:17 a.m. from Lily's MacBook Air. The file names read like carved gravestones. Therapy Memo 0412.m4a, ER scan.jpg. A chill, surgical in its precision, slid along Emily's spine. Lily hadn't merely exploited a sister's lapses. She had burglarized them, polished them, and sold the glitter as redemption. Ethan highlighted the login IP, cross-referenced it with Lily's home address, then swiveled his chair. "This isn't opportunistic gossip," he said, voice flat. "It's premeditated extraction." In that word, extraction, Emily felt pity disintegrate. The motive she'd clung to, Mom's hospital bills, a channel gasping for views, could no longer soften the shapes of betrayal. The edges were too exact, the cuts too clean. Her empathy, a frayed rope, snapped. Something cold and deliberate pooled in its place. A silence dense enough to bear weight. A silence where anger could sharpen instead of scorch. Rage sharpened Emily's focus to a single white-hot filament. She and Ethan worked in near silence, broken only by the mutter of cooling fans and the soft percussion of keystrokes. Every asset they pulled was a knife honed for the eventual cut. Ethan tapped into a paid archive of deleted social posts. Lily's snarky tweets surfaced like toxic algae. Fans are basically walking wallets, LOL. Each line was screen-recorded with timestamp overlays, the cursor lingering just long enough to underscore authenticity. Emily found the invoices next. A crypto marketplace receipt proving Lily had minted 4 of Emily's handwritten grief entries as NFTs marketed as raw trauma art, 1-1. Ethan matched wallet IDs to Lily's verified Twitter handle, chaining the evidence into an irrefutable ledger. In another window, direct messages unfurled, Lily coaching 2 paid actors to pose as childhood classmates. Say she pulled hair in 6th grade, Lily wrote. Viewers eat up bully redemption arcs. The messages were exported with Discord's JSON block, then wrapped in a slick infographic so even casual scrollers could absorb the duplicity without pausing the video. But the coup de grace waited in Ethan's temp folder, the MacBook screen recording Lily never noticed. In it, she toggled through Emily's iCloud files at 2:17 a.m., camera light off, whispering, "This is what viral feels like." Her face, half lit by the glow, looked almost reverent, a thief praying at the altar of clout. Ethan isolated the whisper, boosted it with spectral denoising until every sibilant felt like a razor, then slow-zoomed on Lily's pupils, reflecting the stolen journal page. They structured the counter video as a prosecution brief. Title card. Context matters. Section 1. The mockery. Rapid-fire tweets animated to the beat of a ticking clock. Section 2. The marketplace. A cold scroll through NFT receipts. Price tags flaring in crimson. Section 3. The conspiracy. Chat logs sliding in like court exhibits. And finally, the confession. Lily's midnight heist played at 80% speed. Her whisper looped twice for impact, the video freezing on her face as the phrase, "This is what viral feels like," burn-in flashed. At 23:59:54 on Friday, Emily hovered over the schedule button. Her hands were steady, rage transmuted into precision. When the clock hit midnight, the upload engaged with surgical inevitability. She closed every app, powered down her phone, and let the blackout swallow her. Elsewhere, algorithms flared awake. Notifications detonated in chain reactions. First Reddit's r/gossip griddle, then Twitter's trending column tilting on its axis as #LiarLily vaulted upward. Influencer watchdog accounts stitched the video into reaction reels. Sponsorship teams, scenting liability, initiated contract terminations before dawn. Screen captures of the NFT invoices circulated with red circles around the prices. $4,850, $6,200, $7,100. Evidence of monetized betrayal. Legal influencers estimated 6-figure privacy theft damages in TikTok explainers viewed millions of times before breakfast. Within 8 hours, Lily's follower graph inverted, a cliff dive rendered in Google Analytics blue. Comment sections, once thick with sympathy, curdled into demands for refunds, apologies, resignations. The internet, ever hungry, never loyal, swiveled from adoration to accusation with the elegance of a guillotine. And in the hush of an apartment unlit by notification glow, Emily let the first exhale in days slip past her lips. Not relief exactly, but the disciplined stillness of a bowstring after release, vibrating with the knowledge that the arrow had already found its mark. Schadenfreude arrived on a chipped Formica counter at 2:13 a.m., disguised as a short stack glistening under fluorescent light. The diner was half empty, just a trucker hunched over black coffee, a couple arguing in whispers, and Emily and Ethan flanked by twin laptops that cast glacier blue halos across maple syrup pools. Above the grill hiss, the wall-mounted television broadcast a primetime panel titled, "When Does Authenticity Become Abuse?" A split-screen framed Lily's swollen-eyed apology stream beside Emily's clipped video deposition. the crawl beneath tallied brand withdrawals like election night returns. Each tick downward on Lily's subscriber count, a live widget some network intern had coded for drama, made Ethan's thumbnail drum the counter in quiet, unsentimental rhythm. Emily tasted the first bite of pancake, sweet, warm, heavy, and felt an unfamiliar lightness bloom in her chest. Not joy exactly, more the release of a tourniquet. The pundits quarreled about parasocial hunger and moral contracts, words she'd normally scoff at, but tonight their noise felt distant, manageable, like traffic heard from a hotel window. Her phone buzzed with an official email. The marketing firm that had suspended her now praised her resilience in adversity and attached a reinstatement letter complete with pay retroactive to the day of her forced leave. She slid the screen toward Ethan. He nodded once, a small acknowledgement that the counteroffensive they'd engineered had recalibrated corporate courage. A second notification stacked atop the first, her landlord, previously eager to capitalize on paparazzi foot traffic, now extended a rent discount for the inconvenience. Emily smirked at the phrasing. Manhattan real estate seldom apologized unless compelled by the scent of negative press. She pocketed the device, determined not to let bureaucracy puncture the fragile quiet settling over the booth. Across the diner, the couple's argument spiked, a shattering glass, a muttered curse, and then subsided, leaving the sizzle of hash browns and the pundits' looping outrage. Emily exhaled, tracing condensation on her water glass, letting her mind hover at the threshold between justice served and what came after. Lily's agent had leaked that every partnership evaporated within 24 hours. Sponsorship spreadsheets hemorrhaged red. Screenshots of Lily's NFT invoices circulated like wanted posters, commenters overlaying clown emojis atop her face. The velocity of the reversal was brutal, almost frightening. But Emily found no impulse to pull the reins. Consequence, she decided, was its own pedagogy. Yet spite couldn't be the closing note. She opened their once cherished sister thread, the chat now fossilized beneath 1,000 hateful memes, and typed, "Mom still needs you. When you're ready to be real, I'm here, but not as content." She hit send and watched the words dissolve into the gray bubble sea. No ellipsis appeared, Lily either asleep in some hotel or awake counting ruins, but Emily felt the circuit seal. The rage engine that had run sleepless all week idled, then cooled. Back in the booth, Ethan slid a fresh forkful of pancake across the plate toward her. "Victory carbs," he said, half-smile tilting his mouth. Emily raised the fork like a toast not to destruction but to equilibrium, an ordinary unviral moment reclaimed. Outside, neon reflected off rain-slick pavement, and for the first time since the ping that shattered her Friday, the light looked harmless, just city glow rather than a spotlight primed to exploit her shadow. Justice had been delivered pixel by pixel, and its afterglow, steadier than any ring light Lily had ever switched on, illuminated a path forward, quiet, sturdy, unmistakably her own.